bit of time last year due to injuries, but the Packers believed in Van Ness enough to pick up his fifth-year option. Coach Matt LaFleur thinks he showed flashes of being the impact player they thought he could be when they took him in the first round back in 2023.
The guy that just shows up and works. I think he's learning a lot right now, but he is a valuable piece. I think after the season, when you go back and you watch all the film and you just see we used him in a lot of different ways, whether it was outside on the edge or kicking him down inside. He was a disruptive presence, and you can never have enough of those guys.
Packers back in the field again tomorrow, turning to Wisconsin. They had a busy weekend with official visits, hosting nearly 20 recruits, and it was a productive one as they secured commitments from a 4-star wide receiver in Jai Jones and a 3-star linebacker in Nathan Jones. Both are from Arizona. The class now has 15 commits, ranks 25th in the country.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott, and together they will transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed, and managed for more people around the world. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for the Cologuard and Oncotype DX tests, allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
Well, the Brewers and Giants getting a series started in Milwaukee tonight. Crew comes in off a great month of May when they led the majors with a 19-7 record, built a 4.5-game lead in the NL Central. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
McGill has struck out the first two he's faced, and now it's going to be up to Taylor Trammell for the Astros.
And he breaks his bat and grounds one to second base. That should do it. It will. And the Brewers take the series against the Astros. Mizorowski, Uribe, and McGill. They finished this game retiring the last 17 Astros in order. And they ride a 2-run homer from Bowers to victory.
There's a lot of good things happening. You know, we're giving guys a day here and there. Give Churio and Contreras a day off. And the club still came through. You know, that's losing a lot of firepower there. But doing the things we need to do.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Some sound yesterday. It's the last out between the Brewers and the Astros in the series finale. And then Pat Murphy after the game. That's where we'll start. Plenty of things to discuss, as you heard Zach say in the update. Really good month of May for the Brewers. So we'll start there. As we often do in the summer, it's baseball season, but a lot of NFL news today as well out of nowhere. Although I guess there were little rumors. I was mostly ignoring them because I didn't think anything would happen. But Myles Garrett is a Ram. Sweet. Yeah, that's great. That's just what the Packers need. And A.J. Brown, as many suspected once June 1st hit, has been traded to the Patriots. So we can talk a little bit about those deals. Every time there's an NFL headline or, you know, the NFL's dominating the news and finding a way even in the offseason, I'm just amazed by that league, whether it's the schedule release or the draft or free agency or now, you know, the way that these contracts are written up. And I guess this has always been the case, but I really notice it today because maybe the best pass rusher in football, maybe the best pass rusher in a generation, I don't know, Myles Garrett was traded today. And A.J. Brown, I really noticed it today. Now the NFL has this little secondary like blip in early summer because we'll do our trades and our offseason signings and our draft. And then maybe we'll have a couple of extra come June 1st because of the way the contracts are set up. So the NFL just finds so many different ways, whether it's their events like the draft or free agency or just like little logistical contract things. Like, yeah, we find a way to be relevant and exciting on June 1st of all days when we're, other than OTAs, really kind of in the middle of the NFL offseason. So we'll get to that later on in the show as well. Maybe a thought on the NBA Finals. We now know that that's going to be Spurs-Knicks, which is fun. That's fun. That's going to be more fun than the Thunder. I know a lot of folks don't like the Thunder because they flop. I still think they're a good team and they're worth watching. Spurs and Wemby, that's something new. That's something fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh, yeah. And the Stanley Cup Finals start tonight as well, which I don't know that anyone expected the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes. The Golden Knights, I think maybe people thought the Avalanche, although they dealt with some injuries. Makar was banged up, and the Stars and the Wild, when I was watching that series, I'm like, man, if these aren't two of the best teams in hockey, not that I know anything, but I don't know that many people would have thought the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes about a month or so ago. So that's exciting and interesting as well. We'll try to touch on a little bit of everything. Your phone calls, welcome throughout 608-321-1670. And the live stream is up and running as well on YouTube and the Wisco Sports Zone app. And Tyler says the Bears moving to Indiana. Anything Cubs related? I do have a piece of Bears sound that we might play, maybe a 2 or 3 minute blurb to wrap up one of the hours, because I think that situation is interesting as well. And of course, the NFL finding a way to stay in the news and stay interesting in that way too. But I do want to start with the Brewers. I really enjoyed watching the Brewers win these last 2 series. So they sweep the Cardinals, which is always fun, and then took 2 of 3 in Houston against the Astros this weekend. So they go 5-1 in the last 2 series. I enjoyed watching them win. Now, we're a little spoiled, and the Brewers are up 4.5 games in the division, which is pretty great. But I got to admit, for long stretches these last 2 series, I don't know that I enjoyed watching them play. I enjoyed watching them win. It's a great week. 2 really good series. But I don't know that I enjoyed watching them play. I say that a little tongue-in-cheek. I'm sure you're rolling your eyes. I found something to complain about. But do you kind of get my point? Like, I don't think they're playing their best ball. I think they absolutely stole wins on Thursday in the finale against the Cardinals. We talked about that on Thursday, coming from behind in the 8th after getting no hit through 7 to Dusty May of all people in 2026. Dustin May, I always say that wrong. And then Friday night, I absolutely think they stole that win too. They shouldn't have won that game, scoring a couple runs late, and then Abner Uribe working out of a bases-loaded jam in the 9th, and then holding on to win in extras, with a 1-run lead. That's not easy to do. Trevor McGill slamming the door. That's a game that they stole, just like I think they stole, we can all agree, on Thursday. The offense has not been great recently. They've slumped for long stretches. I mean, Liberatore was mostly handling them. Dustin May, as I just mentioned. I think, who was it a Korean pitcher or a Japanese pitcher? I can't remember his name, for the Astros yesterday. Had his way with the Brewers lineup. I don't think their offense has been good in the last week. And it hasn't just been the bottom of the order. I think the top of the order has been pretty poor. The last 4 games, I went and pulled the numbers today. The last 4, so this is going back through Friday's game. Terang 0 for 13 with 5 Ks. Yelich 2 for 15 with 7 Ks. Churio 2 of 12 with 3 Ks. He got the day off yesterday, as did Contreras. He was 1 of 12 with 3 Ks in the last 4 games. Not a great week, or not a great second half of the week, and not a great 4 or 5 game stretch for the top of the lineup. The bottom of the lineup wasn't much better, but that's the bottom of the lineup. My point is, it's not just the bottom of the order that was slumping in this last week. It was the top of the order too. Pitching and defense have been great, but really, if you look at this team right now, they're really a 2-starter team. Miz is outstanding. He was unbelievable yesterday, basically won him a game. Harrison's been great. They moved him back to tomorrow. Drowan's going to start tonight. But other than those 2 cats, like Sproat took a step back on Saturday. We'll get to that later on in the show. You don't take my word for it. Pat Murphy talked about it. Henderson's on the 15-day with a back. Priester feels farther away than ever. They've shifted his rehab down to Arizona. It feels like he should probably be put on an injured or put on the 60-day or something. They got to do something with him. They can't just have him hanging out. I explained last week, and I continue to believe this, that Woodruff is just kind of biding his time. It's not that he's dogging it. I just don't think he's rushing back, and why would he? Robert Gasser has not shown to be a major league pitcher since coming back from Tommy John, which isn't entirely his fault because he's coming back from Tommy John, but still, he hasn't been good. Woodruff and Priester are hurt. Henderson's hurt, and Sproat's been bad, and he might be getting worse, or at the very worst, he's at least not making progress, which right now isn't good enough, as Murphy said. We'll get to that in the second hour. This team has a lot of deficiencies currently, and they aren't playing their best ball. And if you think I'm being whiny and critical, well, maybe I'm being critical. I don't think I sound whiny. Don't listen to me. Listen to Pat Murphy. This is what he said after the game yesterday.
I don't think we're playing particularly well. I really don't. But again, I trust these guys, and they're doing a lot of good things. There's a lot of people contributing. Look at today, Hamilton. He really contributed. You look at Bowers. It's been unbelievable defensively and offensively. Vaughn got his normal 2 hits. You know what I mean, or whatever. He's been very, very good. And Terang hits 3 balls right on the nose and gets nothing.
Terang, to his credit yesterday, was one of the guys who played yesterday. Contreras and Churio did not. I think Churio needed a day off. And to Terang's credit, he did hit a couple balls well yesterday. No hits. Smoked 1 on the ground to the left side of the infield. Hit a really hard line drive. Was that to right field? I can't remember. But for a guy who had really been striking out a lot and not making solid contact, he did make solid contact at least yesterday. But the manager's like, I don't think we're playing great baseball right now. Now, he's said that a bunch when I think they've been playing okay. I think they're playing fine right now. Through it all, through not playing their best ball and really only having 2 starting pitchers, and top of the order is pretty cold. Yeah, they're 4.5 up in the division. No big deal. Okay. 19-7 in the month of June, best in the majors. Hunter Baumgart, our friend, tweeted this yesterday. Waking up on May 5th, the Brewers were 18-16 in last place, 4.5 games behind the Cubs. Since May 5th, the Brewers have gone 17-5, and heading into June, Milwaukee is 35-21 in first place and 4.5 games up on the NL Central, 5 games up on the Cubs, which is noteworthy because they were the first place team a month ago who led the Brewers by 4.5. Now that is completely flipped. This is why it's fun to be a Brewer fan, I think. And maddening, I would imagine, to be a rival. I see this a lot from Cardinals Twitter accounts and fans of other teams. It's like, I don't understand, but here the Brewers are doing it again. With some high-powered players, don't get me wrong. Like Miz has been outstanding, and Yelich and Contreras, those guys are good. But it's guys that you maybe haven't heard of in the rotation, like Kyle Harrison busting out of nowhere, guys in the bullpen like Ashby. I know we know who Ashby is, but I don't think around baseball. Like, for example, the Cubs spent $15 million to go get Phil Maton. That's a known quantity. I don't think he's very good, but he's known. Teams have gone out and made conscious efforts to improve their bullpens. And the Brewers are like, we'll just promote this guy we have in AAA, or he might be a starter, but we'll just stick him in the pen for now, and he's better. And cheaper to boot, which is the whole point. But the Brewers, not only getting a good player, they're getting him cheaper, which is their whole thing. I know I've done this segment before where I ask and we discuss, well, what are the Brewers good at? What are they actually good at? And this is a bit of a reductive question because, like I said, they do have some outstanding players, especially pitchers, and they're good on defense. But, what are the Brewers good at? I would say they're good at winning baseball games. They're really good at finding ways to win baseball games, and then you walk away from those games thinking, well, they didn't really hit all that well. And in most of these games, they pitch really well. So we're talking about some big wins where Harrison pitched or Miz pitched. Or they've had, the Chad Patrick, Drowan, Ashby, Uribe stretch, whatever they did for their bullpen day and against St. Louis. I can't remember, but they pitched great. But it's like, well, the offense didn't really look all that great and, slumped and were shut out for long stretches. And, but by the way, they won the baseball game. This is Tim Allen, host of the baseball postgame show in Milwaukee, done it a long time on Bill's show earlier, kind of talking about this idea that, you're a good team when you don't even have to play your best and you can still find a way to win baseball games. And I think the Brewers are doing that again.
You're going to have to play better. You heard you played the cut there of Murph saying, we're not playing great baseball. But again, though, I'll point to whether it's, if the Packers beat, I don't know, throw a team out there, the Browns or something like that. If they beat the Browns and it's 13-7, it's a victory and they walk away. Well, they didn't play great. Obviously, 13 points on the board. They had a couple of turnovers. They couldn't get the running game going. Love was, probably middle of the road. The mark of a great team or a potentially great team is to win while you're not playing your best.
Right.
That's where the Brewers are right now, Bill. They really are. They're not, again, this offense, I can't put my finger on it. I'm really struggling on why these names. It's Churio and it's Yelich and Contreras and Vaughn and Bowers and Mitchell and Frelick and they just for some reason maybe it's chemistry, maybe it'll come, who knows? But they will. I believe the offense will be a lot better for sure.
So look, their offense was good enough to win, 3 games against St. Louis and to win 2 games in Houston this last weekend. So they're not anemic. They don't suck. But when a team goes, 5-1 in a stretch of 6 games, you think, well, the top of the order contributing, the big names doing their job. Not really. And I'm pulling up exit velocities yesterday. I should have done this before the show. My bad. As I pointed out, Turang 0 for 13 in the last 4 games with 5 Ks. Yelich 2 for 15 with a handful of strikeouts. He's looked, bad at times. Churio 2 for 12 got the day off yesterday. Contreras 1 for 12 in the last 4. Both of those guys with 3 Ks in that stretch. Both of them were off yesterday. And as I was telling you here, Turang hit a couple balls hard yesterday, including one to the outfield. Let me see. Turang had a line out at 104, a ground out at 104, a line out at 97. Those are good batted ball events. So those are, those are swings and those are batted ball events I look at and say, all right, that's good process. That's not going to last. Churio is such an interesting baseball player. He's very emotive. You can watch him in the box and know very little about baseball and I think kind of understand what's going through his mind. When he's lost up there and he doesn't have a good sense of what he's seeing, you can tell. I think we've seen that. a lot recently. Now, he's always been an aggressive hitter, and he'll expand the strike zone, and he's got the bat speed and the strength to be able to do that and for the most part protect and make contact. He'll get a little, sweeper or slider hungry off the bottom part of the plate, and like you can have the longest bat in baseball. You're not going to be able to get to some of those pitches, so he can be a little reckless too. But it's not just that Chourio is chasing pitches outside of the zone right now. He's not seeing the pitches correctly inside the zone. He's behind in a lot of counts, which forces him to expand the zone and protect the plate. And then he'll dig in and he'll take an 0-2 count from a 2-2 to a 3-2 count, and then he'll swing and a miss on a pitch down and away, or he'll watch one right down the middle. I don't think he really trusts what he's seeing. He's very emotive. You can tell just watching him. I think there are at-bats where you can see him lock in and dig in. And I wonder if Chourio just needs a couple of at-bats to go his way just to re-engage him, just to lock in a little bit. I think sometimes that's an issue with Chourio. But his swing decisions and plate discipline have maybe even gone backwards so far this year. He's still got the talent to rip one out of the ballpark, and we saw that the other day, but he's not crushing mistakes like I'd like him to. It feels like just about every night or every other night I'm listening on the radio or I'm watching, and I'm like, oh, and there's a hanging breaking ball that he fouled back. That's a plate that, it's the type of pitch that he needs to crush. He needs to hit really hard, and he's missing those. He's not seeing strikes correctly. He's chasing outside of the zone because he's not seeing inside the zone correctly. So one problem leads to another. So I think Chourio needs to find his footing a little bit. Contreras has actually been okay. I normally find a way to complain about Contreras. Yeah, he's good to ground into a double play and kill a rally with a couple guys on because he doesn't elevate the ball very well, but that's just kind of part and parcel with the player he is. Turang, I would expect this week to see better results. We started to see it yesterday. I'm not so sure about Chourio. That's concerning. He needs to get his footing just a little bit. That's a big part of the continued success of this team. And they should have a pretty good window this week. I talked about this with Bill earlier against the Giants, who are a floundering team. Floundering. I think both are true. And then the Rockies this weekend. Like, this is a stretch where you don't just want to beat bad teams. You should hope the Brewers continue to win games, but I'd like to see Chourio jump on a couple, get a couple big swings, find his footing. Turang get his footing a little bit. Again, I hope it started yesterday with some really hard hit balls. Chourio and Contreras the same. This is a big week, not just to continue to win games, but for their top of the order, meat of the order bats to really start feeling it in a way that I don't know they have for a couple of weeks. If you want to jump in and talk Brewers, we can do so after this break, and then I want to get into the NFL, some huge transactions today, and I wonder if the Packers are falling a little behind or maybe feeling like they should make a trade of their own. So that's coming up, but your Brewers calls and your thoughts in the meantime. 608-321-1670. We're back after this.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Sports Show in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
There's a lot of good things happening. You know, we're giving guys a day here and there. Give Churio and Contreras a day off, and the club still came through. You know, that's losing a lot of firepower there. But yeah, Miz and Uribe and McGill. McGill again has refound his confidence and he's attacking the zone, and it's he's really good. So happy to get out of here. Not playing our best, but certainly. Doing the things we need to do.
That's what good teams do. Find a way to win games and steal games when you're not playing your best. That was true on Thursday against the Cardinals, or was that Wednesday? I think that might have been Wednesday because they had an off day. But getting no hit through 7 and then stealing a win, that's pretty good. And then stealing a game on Friday. And look, to be fair and to be accurate, they may have not needed to steal that game if not for Luis Renifo being a complete and total head ass, throwing a ball into right field that cost them 2-3 runs. So that changed the complexion of the game, too. They were able to fight back and win the game regardless, whether or not you want to view it as a steal. Point remains, top of the lineup, lagging. Brandon Sproat isn't getting better. He might be getting worse. This team's far from perfect right now. And yet, they go 5-1 between the Cardinals and the Astros and have some winnable games against the Giants and Rockies this week. So the team's in a good spot. Your Brewers phone calls. We got loaded phone lines, so let's be efficient here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
France, great weekend for the Brewers. Could have been perfect, but hey, that's okay. That's why you play 162. You'll take a series win any day you can get it.
I guess I'm trying to decide, would I have preferred for Brandon Sproat to have a good start and to win that one and then to lose on Miz Day? Like, I don't know. But at some point, and we'll get to this in hour 2, Murph talked about it, your boy, Cone, Brandon Sproat, at some point needs to start to take a little bit of a step. So if that's the one loss on Saturday, I guess I can stomach it.
Yeah, I'm a big Brandon Sproat fan, but, Murphy's comments are totally fair. This is a professional ball club. You're expected to perform when you're given the ball. So, I still think there's a really good pitcher inside Brandon Sproat. And at the same time, Murphy was totally justified to go at him. I wish he would keep that up, maybe with Sal Frelick, Joey Ortiz, Renjifo. I mean, Renjifo, like it's June 1st. Can we ship this guy out?
That guy's a terrorist, man. Like, he's not a good base runner. He's not a good third baseman. He's not hitting. I just, again, with Jet Williams and Cooper Pratt, I just think the Brewers want to be extra sure that when they make that move, that they're ready to make that move. Because once they DFA or they replace Luis Renifo, they're not going to be able to just stick him in AAA, I would imagine. Like he'll go somewhere in free agency or, get claimed on waivers or whatever. I don't know how the system works, but I think that's what's holding it up. Adam McCalvey wrote about this today, about the options waiting in AAA. I just think the Brewers clearly must want to be really sure when they eventually make that move, is my point.
So were they not really sure when they gave Cooper Pratt an MLB contract? Like that's where I kind of see this disconnect. You're paying him like a major leaguer, but he's still playing in the minor leagues.
That's true.
I guess I don't get the process here for the Brewers if they're too scared to bring up this guy that, let's be real, he's a top 10 contract value on the Brewers right now.
That's true. They're currently overpaying him, Cone. I appreciate the call. We just got a bunch of people on hold. I feel like Jet Williams is probably the third baseman and Cooper Pratt's probably the shortstop, but they don't need a shortstop right now. Well, They need a shortstop. They need a third baseman worse. So we can argue, we've been doing this for a month or two, like why the Brewers haven't pulled a trigger on either one of those prospects at either third or short. I think Renifo is like an active disaster. I think Joey Ortiz remains a situation where it's like you could get better there, but I don't know that it's actively losing you games. He might not be contributing to wins. I think Renifo is actively trying to lose you games right now. Friday night was a disgrace. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, this is Seth.
Seth? Hey, Seth. What's going on?
Not much. Just heading home. Sorry if you lose me here. I'm on 56 leaving Broquel Hills.
Oh.
Just golfed 18 on a beautiful day.
Oh boy. Hell yeah.
I called to kind of talk about what you guys were just talking about. Renifo's time's up, but I can see them not pushing anybody up from the minors just because, we're still winning series. I don't think there's any reason to rush it. And but yeah, Renifo doesn't do anything, but Hamilton does little things. It always seems like he sparks little things in innings that get it going, and so I can tolerate him for now.
Yeah, I love this, Seth, and I'm going to let you go just in case we do lose you. You bring up another great point about the left side of the infield. Why haven't they done anything yet? Well, there's a whole myriad of the options or lack thereof with Renifo, whether or not Williams and Pratt are ready yet. There's a bunch of, different factors at play. Another one is, well, wait a minute. They're winning at a really high level since May 5th. Again, that's the number. That's the date that I picked because it makes the Brewers look best. The Brewers are 17-5. So the Brewers probably feel internally, well, we'd like to give Jet Williams and or Cooper Pratt a little bit more time anyways. Why do we need to rush? If they were 500 in the month and they needed a spark, or if they're on a losing streak, sure, they're 17-5. And they've lost one series since like mid-April, and it was to the Dodgers when they didn't have any of their good pitchers going. So that, Seth, you bring up another great point. If we're trying to figure out why they haven't made a move yet on the left side of the infield, McCalvey wrote about this today. If you want more, MLB.com. He tweeted out the story too. I guess this came out yesterday as I look at the date. That's a factor too. Where it's like, well, we don't really want to do it yet. We'd love to give, let's say they want to give Jet Williams another month. Well, all they're doing is winning. And I don't know that Luis Renifo is the chemistry pillar that's holding this whole thing up, but why go shape? You're not turning over the apple cart, but why shake the apple cart if you don't have to? So I'm sure that's something the Brewers are weighing as well, Seth. Hope the round of golf was good. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, you got me?
Yeah, I got you.
This is Logan from Tosa, first-time caller.
Hell yeah, Logan. What's going on?
I just really feel as if this last series showed that the Brewers need Brandon Woodruff back.
Yeah.
I think that you have you have in Coleman Crowe, Robert Gosser, and who knows with 24-year-old Logan Henderson's back. It's just all kind of in flux. And then, like we talked about with Sproat, Murphy's comments aren't exactly what we expect from somebody that's got trust in that guy as your fifth pitcher. If you could just get a 5-6 inning, showing from Woodruff, a couple earned runs, I think that would really help for the long run into June, July, August.
So they could absolutely, it's a great call. Thank you for listening, and Tosa, call back. They're a 2-starter team right now. This is the problem, right? You would love to maybe send Sproat to AAA to work on some things. We'll talk about that at 5 o'clock. Do you have that luxury right now? Gasser's not a major league arm right now. I think Coleman Crowe is fine. I don't know. It was weird the other night when he threw a lot more fastballs, and maybe they're trying to bring him along. Maybe they're trying to develop him into a pitcher that doesn't necessarily have to rely on. I don't think his curveball is gimmicky, but in his first couple appearances, you saw opposing hitters really that kind of the third time through the order say, okay, I know what this guy does. So maybe this last appearance, the pitch mix was an effort to mature his delivery a little bit, to maybe try to be a more well-rounded pitcher. I didn't really like it. It was just a lot of fastballs, which isn't what he does well. So I like Coleman Crowe. He's fine. I don't know that he's a massive difference maker one way or the other. You have Miz and you have Harrison right now. I would love Brandon Woodruff to be back in this rotation, but do they need him back right now so badly to the point where they should rush him and fire bullets that they'd maybe like to have more come September, October? That's the question. But the rest of the rotation now with Henderson down and Sproat looking the way that he is, you're absolutely right. You would love to have Brandon Woodruff back. I just don't know what the trade-off is. And I think Woodruff, I just think they're taking their time, man. I talked about this last week. Like, I think Woodruff is just fine missing 2 months right now. I mean, he'd rather be out there. I'm not saying that he's dogging it, but I think this whole season for him is about how can I pitch in big games that matter at the end of the year? How do I need to design my plan and my path this regular season to be available to pitch in the first playoff series we're in? And I get that for Woodruff. And I get it for the Brewers. It doesn't really help them right now. They need starters, and they're running out of them. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. This is Ben in West Bend. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course, Ben. What's up?
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I think now is the time to bring up Cooper Pratt or Jet Williams because we are winning.
So there's not too much pressure on them when they get here type of situation.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that having them get their legs under them now at this point in the season would be more beneficial than if we were 500, putting the pressure on them or having unnecessary pressure. I think this is a great situation to bring them up.
And that's reasonable. Do they play every day? You know what I mean? Like, is Jet Williams your everyday third baseman? Or are they going to – that's another thing. Like, I think the Brewers, when they bring these guys up, they want them to basically be everyday players. I don't think they want to bring them up and give them a cup of coffee or platoon them. Are we in a place, Ben, where we can do that?
I don't think so. I think that right now you could do like a 50-50 for a little bit. But if you want to bring them up full time, I would wait probably another month and see how terrible it gets at third base. Yeah.
This is so fun. So I appreciate the call. This is so funny. The Brewers are 5-1. It's like, okay, what can we nitpick? What can we fix? But that's also like, I think that's good sports talk, right? The team is good. What can they do better? You know, what changes can we, where can we tweak? What can we, debate or what can we argue over? I would imagine it won't be too much longer. Renifo just gives you nothing. It'd be one thing if he was Joey Ortiz with great defense. His defense actively hurt them Friday night. Should have probably cost them a game. They were lucky it didn't. He can't hit. David Hamilton can steal bases and add value that way. Luis Renifo can't. I don't know how many stolen base attempts he has this year. I can think of 2. He was thrown out in both. So I think at a certain point, probably in the month of June, I'd bet that Jet Williams is up here to play third. But with the Brewers winning, they feel no pressure to do it. But I actually like that last point, too. It's like, well, maybe that makes it the time to do it. So they get up here and, they can jump right in and they don't have to be thought of as some savior or spark plug when the team is losing. I don't know. I think both schools of thought are good. One more call here and then we'll take a break. Let's go Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, this is Adam in Lone Rock calling in.
Adam in Lone Rock. Oh, boy. Thanks for the call,
sir.
Adam. What's going on?
No problem. I was just taking in the Brewer content here the last segment, and one of the things that when you had mentioned McCalvy's report and even your own line of thinking on being fortunate that they're winning and being able to wait, I think the real good thing about that also is it provides more clarity in teams that are dropping out of the pennant race and trade assets that become available, and it gives them more clarity on where they kind of want to approach the trade market.
Sure.
Which still could be the left side of the infield. I mean, if you can maybe get a guy that's not on a non-contender plus plug an upgrade over Ortiz, I think with one of those guys also, I don't see how that can do anything but help the club also. So that's kind of what, I think that's what's good about them being on the stretch they're on right now.
I think they have a lot of options over there. I appreciate the call. Thanks for listening in Lone Rock. Hell yeah. I think it's our first caller from Lone Rock. Call back sometime. I think the Brewers want to remain flexible on that side of the field. I think this year, going into next year and the year after, because they know their replacements and their future, they're internal. And they might not be ready right this second, but between this year and next, lockout dependent, they will be. So I don't think the Brewers want to acquire anyone long-term. I don't think that's how they operate anyways. I mean, they don't add anybody really under Matt Arnold. But, maybe for 3 months of the season, if they can get a big stick at third base, like just throw out Arenado. I don't think Arizona's going to deal him because Arizona's playing well, but just, for an example, that might make sense. But anything past that, I don't think it makes sense. They don't want to roadblock anyone at third base or shortstop. If they did, they probably would have done it this offseason, and I think it's clear they didn't want to. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. I want to switch to talk about some of the big NFL storylines, a couple big trades made today we can discuss next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills, Wisconsin Sports Zone Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
the Los Angeles Rams were the team. They were the team. They were persistent. They reached out to the Cleveland Browns wanting to trade for Myles Garrett around the time when the Browns adjusted Myles Garrett's contract to move some bonuses up a little bit. The Browns said, no, he is not available. The Rams tried again after the draft and said, we want him. Here's more. Here's more. They said, no, he is not available. Okay, well, then they said, what if we included Jared Verse? Well, that was someone the Cleveland Browns have had eyes on for a long time. When Jared Verse was suddenly in the deal, the picks got moved around a little bit. It got to a point where the two teams said, you know what? This could actually happen. They're expected to agree in totality later today. Right now, they are finalizing this deal, this absolute stunner. Myles Garrett expected to be a member of the Los Angeles Rams, the one and only team to pursue him. Persistence pays off for less need for Sean McVay and company. Just an unbelievable day.
Myles Garrett is a Los Angeles Ram, kind of out of nowhere. Broke during Bill's show earlier today, and I cracked the mic. I said, Bill, I hate interrupting you here, but we should probably talk about this. It's Jared Verse, a future first, a future second, and a future third, which actually to the ear, at least in my ear, doesn't sound that insane, but you got to remember Jared Verse is awesome and probably worth a first and maybe more in his own right, because he's a young, just stud of a pass rusher. So it's a huge haul, and it should be for a player the level of Myles Garrett. Here's my question. We could talk about what this means for the Packers, and the Packers have been connected to Josh Sweat, who's potentially going to get moved from Arizona, and I don't think the Packers today saw this news and thought, oh, now we need to push more chips in to get Josh Sweat. And I think that's bad process. I think when you're making moves specifically to keep up with the Joneses, I think you can get yourself in trouble. Now, you want to be cognizant of your competition, and you always want to, you always want a better team. So if you have a chance to get better, get better. But I don't think you should make a move or spend capital that you are uncomfortable making or spending just because another team did something. There might be exceptions to that rule. There might be situations where that's not the case. I just think that's bad process. So, I doubt that's the way the Packers are operating. But maybe, maybe there's more urgency now with another stud pass rusher in the NFC for the Packers to go and get another player. We could talk about that next. Here's what I'm confused about, or here's what I don't get. The Rams and their all-in approach. They've been all in since like 2016. What draft was Jared Goff in? Jared Goff draft, because that was the draft they moved up to, pick number 1, right? That was the 2016 draft. So the Rams, in my estimation, just what I'm seeing here, tell me if I'm wrong, have been trading all of their picks, getting as many good players, and going all in to try to win now for 10 years. Okay? 10 years. I am told, or am told, or was told, or am told, that, well, at a certain point, this is going to catch up with them, right? At a certain point, this window will close. And I guess my point is, well, when's that going to happen? Because they've been doing this for 10 years now, and the way I see it, once Jared Goff got good and once Sean McVay got there, which was the first year after Jeff Fisher and Jared Goff didn't work, they've been a contender and they've been good every year. So, well, you're running up, you're debt on the credit card. Okay, well, when is that debt coming due exactly? I'm not suggesting that the Packers should do this. It works for the Rams, but I guess, like, today I saw Marcus Mosher tweet, the Rams understand windows. Good luck to everyone else. And Bukowski quotes this. He says, well, it worked for him last time, but they've also seen plenty of teams go all in and come up short. They were a dropped interception in the NFC Championship game from coming up in 2021 too. Still need luck on your side. And Pete's not completely saying the Rams are stupid for doing this. He's just pointing out that other teams have tried this and failed. I don't think any teams have tried this to this extent. And I'm not arguing that the Rams are smart and they're well coached and their quarterback is good. So they're not just merchants of all-in aggressive trades. They're good at a lot of things. Drafting in the middle rounds, they have to be because they don't have first, second-round picks in some years. I guess I'm going to need to explain to me, when is this supposed to catch up with the Rams? Everyone says, well, this will catch up with you. When? They've been doing this for 10 years? I went back and I looked season by season, the Rams' records. The only year that they've been bad has been 2022. They went 5-12. And I'm like, yeah, didn't Stafford get hurt? I was just reading the Wikipedia page for this season because it's a good summation. It says the Rams dealt with notable key injuries to most of their starters, including quarterback Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald. Oh, okay. So that would make sense. The Rams finished the season with the third most players on injured reserve behind the Tennessee Titans and Denver Broncos. Through each of their first 11 games of the season alone, the Rams started 11 different offensive line combinations. No team since the 1970 merger had accomplished that feat. So the 1 year the Rams fell off in this all-in window was the year that all of their good players got hurt. I just need someone to explain to me why more teams don't do this thing. Why don't more teams do this? It's not biting the Rams in the ass. They keep getting good players. Now, you need the quarterback. They have Matthew Stafford, but a lot of teams have good quarterbacks. I think Matthew Stafford is really good. He's not beyond comparison. Why don't more teams do this? I don't know. Like, you can find a way to pay everybody. You can pay it in bonuses. You can push it out and add void years and do whatever you want with the salary cap. Why don't more teams do it? Because it's the assumption is, well, it'll catch up with them. When? When is it catching up with them? I didn't even look at what draft picks they had to trade today. I'm like, I guess they got picks to trade. Funny how that works, because they just acquired Trent McDuffie, the corner. They just made an all-in move. So when is this supposed to catch up with them? I don't understand why the Rams are the only team doing this and the rest of the world's like, they won't get away with it. I'm like, there are guys that are getting away with it. All right, let's take some NFL phone calls here. Or whatever. I mean, I'll get the ball rolling. It's a huge NFL story. It's probably the biggest move of the offseason. Unless something slipped my mind. A.J. Brown went to the Patriots today, which was expected. I don't have extended thoughts on that other than, why did the Patriots have to give up a first-round pick? He was only going there. We all knew it. Why did they have to give up a first? Just seems a little strong, but that's my only thought on that. 608-321-1670. A couple calls here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
This is John in Cornell.
John in Cornell. If there's a man that understands the economics of the NFL, it would be a man from Cornell. No?
Yes. No, I am. Okay, so I'm also a Browns fan. So as a Browns fan, it's very logical to get rid of him. But I would say, yeah, it makes sense for the Rams, and it makes sense for teams to make, shots for big-name players. Some teams are better at it than others. A team that has done well in it in the last 20 years, you could say, would be the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know. So, I don't know. I guess I would say it really boils down to a team's ability to assess the talent of a player. And if they're good at it, they're great at it. So you could say, like, to your point, the Rams have been doing it, and for the most part, they've made out quite well. They got Von Miller, and they did really well with Von Miller the 1 year, and they picked up some running back the year they went to the Super Bowl. I don't remember who.
They traded for Jalen Ramsey. They've done this with so many players, John. I forget all the players they've done it with. Great players, really good players.
Yes. And so, but also on the flip side of the coin, for the Cleveland Browns, he's a disgruntled player. Yeah. He was disgruntled last season. They should have just, I don't know, they kept him for whatever reasons. Don't ask me, but it would have made sense to trade him last year. We probably would have gotten more for him. So I think I think the Rams are smart. Get a player, and when he's at his best, and the same as the Rams, as the Packers did with
Parsons. Yeah.
Parsons. Yeah.
I think the difference between the Rams and the Patriots, John, that's a great call. Appreciate it. We'll talk again soon. The Patriots would get disgruntled players at a discount. The Rams are paying blue chip prices for blue chip players. There's a little bit of a difference there. I like it for the Browns because they got a bunch of picks, and they got Jared Verse, who's awesome, and he's 25. So he fits their window. He's not as good as Myles Garrett, but it's not just, hey guys, look at all these beans we got. We got all these draft picks. Because if I was a Browns player or a fan, I'd be like, you guys have had a bunch of picks. So yeah, you give up Myles Garrett, but I think a lot of Browns fans are thinking, well, we're not going to win with him, so go trade him, and you get a player. You could win with Jared Verse if you get a quarterback that doesn't stink. He's only 25, and he's awesome. And you got some picks to boot, scattered throughout the next couple of years. 608-321-1670. Let's go Sports Show. Who's this?
We got back-to-back Johns. Somebody get the plunger.
John in St. Paul. What's going on?
Hey,
Vagabond.
I think one of the things that happens in the offseason is fans around the NFL start to treat the real world like Madden, right? And even this conversation that you're having about the Rams. Well, why are the Rams getting away with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the piece of the NFL that we as fans, when we get pro football focus and advanced analytics and all this mumbo jumbo spreadsheet football, is we forget about the two most important elements of a football team, and that is culture and confidence. You see so often a bottom of the league team fire their coach, get rid of everybody, bring most of the players back, but they just replace the coaches. They replace the training staff. They replace everybody in the organization that impacts the players in how they carry their culture and how they display their confidence. And so I think when you're thinking, why are the Rams getting away with this? It's the culture and the confidence that Sean McVay brings to the football program. What do you think?
I agree. No. Look, here's the thing, Vagabond John. I appreciate the call. If I was starting an NFL team today, I'd take Sean McVay, and I wouldn't think twice about it. That's who I'd want. I think he's outstanding. And they got a little unique thing there. I think his style and his approach probably fits with Les Snead and the ownership and LA, the market and the place. I think players probably I'd want to go live in Southern California. It's very nice there. Well, grew up with the taxes. Okay, well, I don't know what you want. Like, you know what I mean, right? It's a desirable place. Athletes, famous people, rich people would want to live there. Okay. So that works too. I don't think any team could do what the Rams are doing, but the things that the Rams need to make this successful is also things that other teams need. Like, you need a good coach regardless, and you need a good GM, and you need a good culture regardless. So there's plenty of teams. I think the Eagles have that. They have a good culture and a good GM, at least. I don't know about the coach, right? There's plenty of teams with good coaches, good cultures, and nobody other than the Rams does this. And they just, they're going to keep being good. There's a whole Ty Simpson part of this trade that I think is interesting, too. Maybe we can talk about that next, but I got to get one more break. And if you're on hold and can wait, I promise I'll get to you, but I got to sneak a break in here. Otherwise, we're going to be up against it at 5 o'clock in Zach's update. Final segment of the first hour next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. I'll take another call here. Thank you for waiting. Just give me 30 seconds. We're talking about Myles Garrett ending up on the Rams today for Jared Verse and a slew of picks, a bunch of picks, a handful of picks. And I saw a lot of people tweet today, whoa, that Ty Simpson pick looks pretty dumb now. Wouldn't you like another blah, blah, blah to go with this all-in team? And no. I think you're all missing the point. I think Bukowski nailed it. He tweeted this earlier today. I just retweeted at Wisco Grant. I've seen a lot of people saying the opposite, but the Garrett trade makes sense. Makes the Ty Simpson pick make more sense to me. You could say F them picks when you don't need those picks for a quarterback. Exactly. You have your quarterback settled. You don't need to worry about him now. That gives you the flexibility to go get Myles Garrett or whoever else. But this is the wisdom and clarity with which only Packers fans can see the world because we're smarter. Yes, we are wise. We are wise, more so than others. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, it's Q.
Q. Good evening. It's been a bit. Hope you've been well.
I hope you've been well too. The start of summer is the best time of year in Wisconsin.
I agree.
So
I agree.
Great.
What do you think?
I'm a little fired up today, and it's actually about the AJ Brown trade.
Hit me.
Not because we didn't trade for him today, but I'm furious that we didn't trade for him in 2022. Because since then, I posted it in your chat. You can read it if you want. We haven't had a single wide receiver with over 900 yards. And it's a nobody's list of leading receivers. And I would argue that if we would have traded for AJ Brown in 22, we would have been to the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 4 years too. And they recouped all of the draft capital. They traded a first and a fourth for him when they traded for him from the Titans, and they got back a first and a fifth today. And I think that this team's problem is not defense. I think that they have not invested in offense. And I pray that we find a way to get a true number one for Jordan Love, because I think with a true number one, this offense will explode and we'll actually see who Jordan Love is. And we might actually have a chance to get more than one round in the playoffs.
So I love this call. I love the take, Q. I appreciate it. So here's the thing. You're going to say true number one, and a lot of people are going to get hung up on that. Okay. Forget Q said true number one. Let's say a proven guy. AJ Brown has proven that over the course of the year, he can carry a big workload. I agree with you, Q, on that. Bill Huber talked about this on Bill's show earlier today. I'll scramble to find the sound over this next break. I think I remember where it was. I'll see if I can find it. I was going to cut it earlier and I forgot. Bill Huber pointed out, like, between Watson, Reed, and Golden, there's a question there on whether or not those guys can carry the freight for an entire season. Now, whether or not you think somebody is a true number one, okay, well, whatever. We're talking about a proven player, Q, to your point, that can carry the load. I like the take. I don't understand why the Patriots had to give up a first for him. Everyone knew he was going there. And maybe the Eagles just hold the line. Maybe they just held the line. They weren't going to settle for anything less. Maybe the Pats wanted it done. They said, we just want to bury this thing. I don't know. I feel like everyone knew he was going there. Why did it take a first round pick? We'll pick this up on the other side. First, 2 minutes, we'll get an update from Zach Hopper. Be right back.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers are back home tonight against the Giants after finishing off an impressive month of May yesterday with a 2-0 win over Houston. Milwaukee won an MLB best 19-7 during the month with 3 sweeps and winning 7 series. On May 8th, they were 5.5 games out of first place in the NL Central. They now own a 4.5 game lead in the division, but you wouldn't know that listening to manager Pat Murphy.
I don't think we're playing particularly well. I really don't. But again, I trust these guys, and they're doing a lot of good things. There's a lot of people contributing. I'm happy to get out of here and not playing our best, but certainly doing the things we need to do.
Tonight, the Crew will send Shane Drohan to the mound against San Francisco. He's 2-1 with a 2.63 ERA. Going to be his second start of the season, his first since early April. The Giants kind of with Leighton Rupp. He's 5-5 with a 3.30 ERA. San Francisco has lost 9 of their last 12 coming in. First pitch is set for 6:40. Turning to the Packers, they were back in the field for the second week of OTAs today. They've got practices today, tomorrow, and then again on Thursday. And for Wisconsin, they landed a pair of commitments from Arizona natives in their 2027 class yesterday. 4-star wide receiver Jai Jones and 3-star linebacker Nathan Jones. They now have 15 commits in the class.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott, and together they will transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed, and managed for more people around the world. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for the Cologuard and Oncotype DX tests, allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
Well, we're a little more than 3 weeks out from the NBA draft, and the wait on a potential trade of Giannis Antetokounmpo continues. Draft gets going June 23rd. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Yeah, and it's almost related to the corner part of it. But I want to know what they're going to do at receiver. I mean, we know who their top 3 are. But, I mean, there's like no depth. So they went from an embarrassment of riches with Dobbs and Wicks to what happens if Christian Watson gets hurt or Jaden Reed or Matthew Golden? There's some real injury histories with those guys. And this is where I think people can downplay OTAs, but like receivers versus cornerbacks, that's pretty real football.
Hydrating to eating meals to the recovery. I feel really confident with our plan and what we're going to do. And, the circumstances are the circumstances, but it's the same for both teams.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
All right, that's Bill Huber. There's more on that in the first hour of Bill's show today. I'm going to keep digging. He talked about receiver, saying, well, what if Watson gets hurt? Or what if Jaden Reed gets hurt? And those guys get hurt. It's not like they have a perfect bill of health through the first 3 or 4 years of their career so far. So I think depth at wide receiver a real question. And that's something that we talked about with Q before the break. He called in as we react to 2 of the bigger stories of the day, 2 of the bigger stories of the offseason. Myles Garrett's been traded to the Rams. Significant, very significant. And lesser so for us, but still interesting. A.J. Brown's been dealt to the Patriots for a 1st and a 5th. The 1st-round pick is in next year's draft, which I think is a shrewd piece of negotiating for the Eagles because the Patriots are going to pick second to last. They were just in the Super Bowl. I don't understand why the Pats needed to give up that much. I don't understand why it took a 1st-round pick anyways. What were the Eagles going to do? Keep him? Were they going to trade him somewhere else? He wanted to play with Vrabel. Everyone knew it. Everyone knew this move was going to happen. So why did it take a 1st? And why did you let the Eagles push the 1st out? If I'm Elliott Wolf, I'm like, no, you're going to take our 1st-rounder this year. You're lucky you're getting a 1st at all. You're going to take the end of the 1st-round pick. You're not going to be able to go into next year. I don't understand. Really good piece of business by Howie Roseman and the Eagles. I feel like the Patriots, well, good for them. They're improving their team, and they're going for it around Drake May after just coming up short to the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. I don't understand why they had to spend that much. So we'll stick with this. We'll get back to the Brewers towards the bottom of this hour at maybe 5:20, 5:30. But Myles Garrett to the Rams, A.J. Brown to the Patriots, and Josh Sweat is rumored to be connected with the Packers. I can give you some details on that, but I want to take your phone calls, as many of you have been waiting. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant. Hey, Tony from Texas.
Hey, Tony.
Myles Garrett. I met this dude. He's an Arlington, Texas native. Met this dude. He was a senior in high school. Built like a Greek god. This guy, good for him going to the Rams. But you're getting into the Winkler verse there of Q. I got to give a shout out to Hot Take Jake. This guy, Hot Take Jake, predicted Wembyana would be the next coming. I didn't really see it, but hey, Victor Wembanyama got the Spurs in the finals. I know it's not the NBA Lounge, but I got to bring it up.
You didn't see the 7'4" guy who was drafted number 1 overall being pretty good?
I mean, I saw Ralph Sampson 2.0. I mean, for all you old heads like me, that's how Ralph Sampson was. I don't know. I didn't watch him play. Did you watch him play when he was 17, 18?
No,
16?
I didn't. It's just, I don't know. He was kind of a big deal when they brought him, they sent Brian Windhorst over to Paris to interview the guy at the pay. Like it was a big deal. I don't know. We don't know anything, but to say that, well, I told you Wemby was going to be good. It's like, oh, all right.
I didn't see it, but I'll give it, give it up to the Spurs. They tanked 3 times and it worked out all 3 times. The Bucks tank, what do we get? We get an injured Jabari Parker and a solid Andrew Bogut. So
Gary Wolfel's guy, I was going to say.
Gary Wolfel's guy. I guess Gary was quoted as saying 0.0 chance that Giannis does not get traded.
That's what it feels like. I don't mind Gary's reporting. I just wish he'd keep his commentary on his reporting to himself. Like, here's what I don't want from Gary Wolfel. I'm hearing that John Horst, who's a moron and a failure, is making calls on Giannis. It's like, okay, Gary, well, if you have a report it. Keep your commentary to yourself, man. Like, I just have a hard time with that.
Yeah, Gary's got some hot sports opinion. There's a mayoral election out there in L.A. Spencer Pratt's going for. Were you a big Hills fan, Grant? I was going to save it for the mailbag, but I got to ask you: does Spencer Pratt run for mayor? How about that?
Yeah, how about that, Tony? Look, I appreciate it, Tony. I want to talk more. We got loaded phone lines. I don't have an opinion on the Los Angeles mayoral election. I wish I did. I really wish I did. Seems like a lot of people in LA are fed up with certain things. I don't know. I thank you, Tony. He didn't see it with Wembanyama. Okay. Are we sure? Yeah, and I'm trusting you to put together my AAU team, Tony. All right. What did he even mention an NFL thing? It's nice to hear from you, Tony. I love when you call. We're just gonna move on. 608-321-1670. Let's go sports show. Who's this?
First time caller, Z and the D.
Hey, Z, you've never called the show before? I feel like you. Well, maybe, I don't know.
I have. I'm messing with you.
Okay. What's up, Z?
Nada. So, while everyone in the NFL is playing checkers, the Rams are playing chess. And I'll explain it this way. You're trading away your first-round pick next year for a proven player, and we all know that next year's class is loaded with quarterbacks. But you take your quarterback this year, so he gets 1 year under McVay. You sign Stafford for a 2-year extension, even though it's probably a 1 and then maybe more. But we all know that Stafford's had this chronic back injury, so this could be his last hurrah. Mm-hmm. And you already have the quarterback in the wings. They're playing what the Packers did. The Packers would always draft a quarterback when you don't need a quarterback, but they do it anyways. And how did that work out? I don't know. We've Brett Favre, Matt Hasselbeck, you got Aaron Rodgers, now Jordan Love. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. And then you get a proven player, obviously, and you're also trading away assets, but you're also drafting key players that are proven to help you out. Like you drafted Jared Verse in the first round, and then you trade him away to get Myles Garrett, and then you're drafting all these other Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Their tight end's a solid tight end group, and you drafted Kyron Williams. You traded away your first-round pick, your first-round running back. I can't remember his name. It was like 3 years ago. And then you also had, what's his name? From Georgia, who was a stud.
Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley. You drafted him, and then you cut him loose pretty much at the perfect time because you knew that the downfall was on the rise because no one else touched him.
Yeah, the knee. Yeah, he was cooked. Well, Z, I think you're onto something here when you say, to go back to the beginning of your call when you said the Rams are playing chess and the rest of the NFL is playing checkers. What I don't get is the rest of the NFL acts like they're not allowed to play chess. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's the Rams do that. We can't do that. Or a lot of the other owners are too cheap to do it because I'm not going to commit myself to learning all of the economics of what the Rams are doing. But in order to absorb you're not getting cheap first round picks. You're paying established players, right? You're creating void years. You're paying out bonuses. Like it's the same with the Eagles, right? So this is probably a cheap thing too from the rest of the NFL. Well, I can't do that. The salary cap. It's like, well, you could if you wanted, but you'd have to spend more money.
I think everyone else is just scared to do it.
That too.
I mean, I think they're scared to do it because they make 1 or 2 wrong moves, they're out of a job. Where Les Snead, he's proven to do it, and it worked out in his favor. So he's actually buying himself more and more time, and he's got as you said, he's got the perfect coach for him. Yeah. It's like tea and crumpets, or I don't know. It's like spaghetti noodles and meatball sauce. I don't know. I don't know what the comparison is, but you get what I'm saying. They are perfect for each other. Without one, you don't have the other. Like, I feel like if McVay wasn't with someone else or was with someone else, I don't think it'd be as successful as it is. It'd still be successful, but I don't think we'd be talking as much. Or vice versa. If Les Snead didn't have McVay, I don't think we have this talk either.
No, it's a perfect match. I appreciate that, Z. That's a good call. There's one more caller on hold. Give me 30 seconds. I think the rest of the NFL around the Rams operate conservatively relative to the Rams for probably a mix of reasons. I think, Z, we talked about them both there. They're probably scared on some level. Scared isn't the right word. Conservative. Well, we can't do that. We can't trade away all our picks. We need the draft picks are important for the health of our team moving forward. We can't do that. Well, you can. But I think a lot of the other teams are like, well, we can't do that. We can't do that. But I also think a good portion of owners don't operate the way the Rams do, or probably a better comp is the Eagles, because the Eagles aren't as extreme, but the Eagles pay there's a lot of dead cap and void years. The Eagles push out a lot of money to make that thing work because the owner is willing to spend. Not just, player contracts, but cash, guaranteed salary dollars, real money to work around the cap, to stretch the cap, to get more talent, more expensive, good players on your roster. And I just don't think all the owners are cut out for that. I think owners are cheap. And we're all cheap, but owners, we think of them as these millionaire. Another million? Sure, here you are. Whoa, you want to sign this player? Here's 30 million. Go nuts. Like, that's not them. Some of them, within reason. I think Jeff Lurie does that. I think Stan Kroenke with the Rams does. I think there are owners that, yes, do that. I think Ziggy Wilf and the Vikings, probably not to a lesser degree, but I think the Vikings are very aggressive as well and invested. The Packers are a little unique because they don't have a rich owner. They have many like myself. But I think it's conservatism and cheapness. If teams were a little bit more, if they expanded their minds the way they think, and the owners, weren't cheap. Jerry Jones wasn't such a cheapo. John Mara wasn't such a cheapo. More teams would do this. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Ridge Runner, Mark. How are we doing?
Good evening, Ridge Runner. I'm well.
Excellent. Couple of thoughts. So, 900-yard receiver.
Yes.
And my question is, and you can answer it, is that a product of the talent of the wide receivers we have, or is that a product of the system that we've been in since Matt LaFleur came in, where we're not going to force feed one guy? Because I think a lot of times, it's extreme talent, or it's force feeding the guy who is your number one, and that's where those numbers can sometimes get inflated, but don't necessarily equal to a really good balanced offense.
I think it's both. I think it's both.
Yeah,
to your point, I think it's both.
Yeah. The other thing, talking about the Rams and drafting a quarterback in the first round, I think the other thing that we need to highlight is they're willing to sit their first round quarterback.
Yeah.
That the Packers do. Nobody else. Everybody talks about, well, if you draft a quarterback in the first round, you got to see what he's got. You got to play him. Why? Well, most often than not is they're picking one because they don't have an established quarterback, which is in and of itself a problem. But if they would line it up like the Rams did, like the Packers usually do, pick them when you don't need them, when you have an established line, when you have a quarterback, and you can bank on that investment in 2 or 3 years rather than try and hope that in the first year he doesn't get just shell shocked or blasted out of the league and he gets in his head because he keeps getting hit. So that was my two takes.
So I agree with both of those. It's a great call, Ridge Runner. I think to your first question, do the Packers not have a 1,000-yard receiver and a true number one because of talent or because of the system? I think it's both. Matt LaFleur has shown that when they have a number one guy, they will build the plane around that guy. They did it with Devontae Adams. It's not like, well, Devontae Adams doesn't get the yardage because they play a more egalitarian offense. Well, no, not necessarily. I don't think the Packers have had a guy that good. They've had a couple guys who are pretty good, which means the ball gets spread around. And also, Christian Watson gets hurt and Jaden Reed gets hurt. Jaden Reed has gotten hurt quite a bit in his 3-year NFL career now. Christian Watson has not been as hurt as a lot of people say, but still has not had a clean bill of health. So I'm likely to defend Christian Watson in a lot of situations. I can't defend him here in this context because he's hurt a good amount, and that affects production as well. how many balls they're catching and how many touchdowns they're scoring. So yeah, if AJ Brown, you added him to this team in 2022, I think to Q's call before the hour, I think that's very interesting. We do know that the Packers have been in the mix, at least, on Josh Sweat. Bill Huber writing about this at Sports Illustrated. It might have even been on Saturday. I was gallivanting this weekend, Friday or Saturday. Bill Huber and others have shared that the Packers have asked and they're interested on this. Let me see here. General manager, I'm just reading you directly from Bill Huber. General manager Brian Gutekunst could take the passive approach of hoping that the young pass rushers he assembled will rise to the occasion. Or Gutekunst could do what he did last year when he did the most aggressive thing imaginable and traded for Micah Parsons. Arizona Cardinals edge defender Josh Sweat could be available. The Packers could be interested. The dots are ridiculously easy to connect. When new Packers defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon was the Eagles defensive coordinator, Sweat had 7.5 sacks, turned Pro Bowl honors in 21, and 11 sacks and a career-high 15 tackles for losses in 2022. In free agency last offseason, Sweat signed a 4-year, $67 or $76 million contract with the Cardinals, which reunited him with Gannon. Sweat set career highs with 12 sacks and 4 forced fumbles. He had 5 sacks in the first 5 games. Gannon was a reason why he signed with the Cardinals, and it paid dividends on the field. The scheme and stuff, you can play fast in it, Sweat said. Gannon was thrilled to get back together with Sweat for reasons beyond sacks. Gannon said, guys pick his brain about certain things. He'll help in that way because he's played a lot of ball. He's been successful. I always say you want to know ball, talk to the players. He's one of the guys you can talk to. The Cardinals have reportedly received trade talks about Sweat, according to NFL insider Jordan Schultz. Sweat's contract could make the trade at least a little complicated. With $38 million guaranteed, the Cardinals would have to swallow a lot of dead cap money to make it happen. From Green Bay's perspective, he would come with cap charges of $10 million in 2026, a relative bargain, but $18 in 2027 and 2028. Really, though, Sweat could be a one-year rental because the signing bonus is Arizona's problem. The enormous 2027 and 2028 cap charges are all base salary and roster bonuses, so they could be erased from the ledger, so they could just cut him. The trade compensation might not be much. One high-ranking executive told Packers on SI that a 5th-round pick might get it done because Sweat is 29 and expensive. While he's been durable with only 2 career missed games in the past 5 seasons, the executive said Sweat is on his last leg. It's a weird thing to say for a player who hasn't missed a lot of time. When the Cardinals signed Sweat in 2025, an executive told The Athletic that the coaches would have to manage his knee. Another executive told The Athletic that having familiar with Gannon will help, but do I think Sweat is a great player? No. He helps them but doesn't move the needle a great deal. Still, despite the issues, the executive who spoke on Packers on SI said he'd make the deal, given the fact that Sweat is much more accomplished pass rusher than any of Green Bay's edge defenders. In fact, the returning group of Lucas Van Ness, Brenton Cox, Barron Sorrell, Colin Oliver, and Aaron Mosby have a combined 15 sacks in their careers. The Cardinals are coached by Mike LaFleur, brother of Matt LaFleur. Asked about the trade rumors recently, he said, I don't even read into the offers. I don't even look at them. I'm just excited at the fact that I don't have to game plan against this guy. I got to know him when I first got this job. He's a good dude and goes about his process, blah, 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 blah. Some stats, some productive numbers. The Packers could use a pass rusher who could make a difference. Perhaps a third reunion between Gannon and Sweat could help the Packers not just survive without Parsons, but, everyone say it with me, thrive. As Gannon said last year, quote, I know he can impact the game, which is one of the reasons we signed him. A 5th-round pick for that guy for a 1-year rental, and then maybe you cut him or you restructure if it works out well. I'd do it today. You trying to win a Super Bowl or not, man? The Rams just signed Myles Garrett. And that's not a reason to go get extra desperate to make a move to keep up with the Joneses. But like the Super Bowl's not going to fall in your lap, especially with this coaching quarterback. We'll come back. We'll talk more about this pick at the NFL headlines for a couple more minutes. And then I want to get back to the Brewers and talk about Brandon Sproat and where the Brewers and Pat Murphy stand with him.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
How much sizzle is there to what's going on between the smoke and everything right now?
Yeah, if there wasn't the Josh Jacobs stuff going on, where you probably needed to get a running back in here, and I would say there'd be a lot more smoke, but I don't know if you can trade for two guys. Maybe you can. I have no idea, but you're right. They're going to go into week one, and probably week 1, 2, 3, and 4. With their edge guys in their careers having 15.5 sacks. Career combined. Van Ness has 8.5, and nobody else has more than, I think Cox has 4. It's 1.5 for Sorrell, 1.5 for Cox, and I think half for Aaron Mosby. That's it. I mean, goodness gracious.
Right.
And I realize they don't play great quarterbacks, but they will get destroyed by the quarterbacks on that schedule if they can't find a pass rush. Again, I'm not saying they don't have a pass rush. Maybe Lucas Van Ness takes the next step, and Barron Sorrell year 2 jump, and Colin Oliver year 2 jump, and Dennis Sutton is a player as a rookie. So I'm not saying that's not going to happen. But as they sit here on June 1st, they have no pass rush on the edge, none. Maybe Van Ness pans out, but fine, they're going to double team Van Ness, and now what? I think it's a big problem. Again, maybe it'll all be fine. But Sweat had 12 sacks last year. His 2 best seasons are with Gannon. Makes a lot of sense. Again, if you have enough stuff you can trade to go get a running back as well.
Side takeaway from that sound from Bill Huber earlier on Bill Michaels' show. They need a running back. He mentions that almost, as a non-starter. Like, if you can trade for running back and this guy, great. So take that for what you will, what Bill Huber feels about Josh Jacobs and his situation moving forward. I will just say, I like Lucas Van Ness as much as the next guy, some of these young guys. I just don't know how many Super Bowl seasons have started with the phrase, maybe Lucas Van Ness takes a jump. Maybe he does, but if the season is riding on that, then I think your season is limited, or that it has a ceiling. So Josh Sweat, to me, if that's what he's going to cost, a day 3 pick, and even if you rent him for a year and then cut him, are you trying to win a Super Bowl, or are you trying to have a nice team and, give Matt LaFleur a chance to see this through? As Ed Policy and others have seen, what are we actually trying to do here? Rams just traded for Myles Garrett. And I know they just traded for Micah Parsons last year. I'm not trying to be unfair. But a 5th and $18 million this year for Josh Sweat, I don't know that I'm asking my franchise to move mountains here. Just you trying to win a Super Bowl or not? 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's that? Hello? Line number 1?
Hello?
Yes. Who's this?
Sorry, this is Tony from Alaska.
Hey, Tony, what's going on?
I just think you guys need to relax on this depth thing a little bit. I hear in the media all the time, and it's like, if you followed any other team, I guarantee there's media saying the same thing about their team. And it's like this receiver thing. It's like, what are they supposed to do? They're not going to pay Dobbs. I mean, they couldn't afford to pay him. And do you want to get Golden the ball? Do you want to get, granted, I know that Watson's been hurt a lot, but it's like, you want to get those guys the ball, and it's awesome. They've had depth for how many years now? Where's that got them?
Yeah.
They need that number one guy to emerge. And I think Golden's going to be that guy, but it's just like, in the media, all that, and Bill Huber's huge on this. They're always like, well, they don't have this. It's like, no team does. In the salary cap era, you're not going to be perfectly equipped at every position to handle injuries. And it's like, any team, you can name any team. If one of their star players goes down, they're screwed, So it's just like, what are they supposed to do, So
absolutely, Tony.
Something I hear all the time. It's like, they don't have this, they don't have that. It's like, no team does.
So I agree with all of this. The NFL, there's no perfect team, Tony. It's a great call. And I'm also honored that I'm considered a part of the media. It's a great honor. You're absolutely right. There's no perfect team. There's no team with a perfect amount of depth. Now, something you said about the wide receiver, they've had depth the last couple of years. Where did it get them? Sure. But they didn't necessarily get better. They didn't get different. They just got rid of the couple guys in that room. So you must believe, and the Packers must believe then, that Matthew Golden with more targets is going to be some ascendant player, and that Christian Watson with more targets is capable of carrying freight and carrying a load that we haven't seen him carry yet. And if you believe those things, fine, then these moves make sense. The defensive line, Tony, you and I can both agree, though, that there's some question marks there, right? What do you want him to do? I don't know. They signed Javon Hargrave to their credit. This Josh Sweat move interests me. It's a fit with Gannon that makes sense. It's a price that's not over the moon and back. So no, I'm not asking them to trade every pick they have and blow up their future. Nothing like that. And you're absolutely right that every team has question marks because that's how this league works. There's not enough good football players for every starting position, and then for every 2 deep and 3 deep, of course. K. Schmidt in Oregon with a Brewers question. We'll get to this next. With the Brewers winning like they are, bringing up anybody for any other reason other than they are absolutely ready and forcing their way onto the big league roster would be doing them a disservice. Luis Lara is the guy that seems to be doing that, but Jet and Pratt aren't right now. Well, we'll get to this next. It's funny that the Brewers can keep winning, and I'm guilty of this, and we come on the air and it's like, okay, but when are we going to ditch this Renifo guy? When are we going to find a solid third outfielder? When are we going to cut Joey Ortiz's playing time? I think it's funny. We'll get to this next, and I want to talk about Brandon Sproat as well. I'm going to give you the details first. Before we switch over, I want to slam the door on our NFL discussion today. We've talked about Myles Garrett going to the Rams, and I think a sneaky, interesting part of this move that us Packers fans and owners can really understand is everyone saying, well, if they were going to trade for Myles Garrett, why didn't they go all in? Why'd they draft Ty Simpson? It's like, well, no, that's why you draft Ty Simpson. You imbeciles. But we can't expect these other fan bases to understand such a thing. So I guess we're just going to be, screaming into the void, our 13-time world champion Green Bay Packer void. But again, that's just wisdom and clarity. I wouldn't expect other fan bases to have. That's why you draft the quarterback, is because now you have the flexibility to go get Myles Garrett or do other things because your quarterback in waiting is already on the roster. But again, you simpletons can't understand that. Here's Ian Rappaport with the latest on A.J. Brown, NFL Network earlier today. Or maybe this was on, would have been on NFL Network, but it's owned by ESPN. Whatever. Here's Ian Rappaport. You know who he is.
A.J. Brown, the long-rumored member of the New England Patriots, is now actually going to be a member of the Patriots. He goes from the Eagles to New England to reunite with head coach Mike Vrabel, who, of course, he was with in Tennessee for the price of a future first-round pick, a 2028 first-rounder, and a fifth-rounder this year. Now, the compensation is interesting because we've known for some time that the Philadelphia Eagles, if they were going to trade A.J. Brown, wanted it to be for a first-rounder. The Patriots were very clear. They did not believe that this trade was going to be for a first rounder. So they did what two teams do when they want to make a deal. they compromised. Instead of an immediate first rounder, it was wait a year and then a first rounder, which actually is an interesting part of this because we knew for sure where the Patriots first rounder was going to be this year. We don't know where it's going to be in 2028. It actually could be worse. It could be lower in the draft. They could win the Super Bowl. It could be better. But that guessing game is something we're going to follow for years to come.
So that's the thing that I don't get about this. I understand why New England would want him. I understand why A.J. Brown would want to go play there. I understand all these things. Why did it take a first? And if it's going to take a first, why couldn't it have been this year's first, which will be pick 31, right? Second place team. They runner up in the Super Bowl. Why did you let Howie Roseman say, well, we'll take next year's first, which will probably be better. And it will be better unless the Patriots win the Super Bowl. Why? And then a fifth as well for posterity? Why? Everyone knew A.J. Brown was going to the Patriots. Who were they bidding against? Maybe they were bidding against other teams. I don't know. That just seemed like the best kept secret in football for weeks. So why did it take a first? I don't know. Also, the NFL main Twitter account, I was looking at this while Ian Rappaport was talking, tweeted out a picture of a young A.J. Brown in a Patriots jersey, and it's bothering me because A.J. Brown looks like he's 8 years old in this picture. And I don't know if A.J. Brown did grow up a Patriots fan or not. He probably did if they're tweeting this picture. But this image is altered because this Patriots jersey, it's a Tom Brady 12 jersey on little A.J. Brown has Nike swooshes on the sleeve. And I don't think they switched to the Nike swoosh. I don't think Nike took over the jerseys until 2011 or 2012? So this can't be a real picture. Or it's a real picture and someone went through and changed the jersey to match the sponsorship, which just, this doesn't matter. It's just something that I saw out of the corner of my eye when Ian Rappaport was talking, and it annoyed me. Dry Fly in Montana before we go to break says, happy Chris Christopherson Day, Grant. Happy to see you are participating in the I fumbled through my closet for clothes, found my cleanest dirty shirt. I don't know what song that's from. The shirt's perfectly clean, I'll have you know. It's just a plain white t-shirt. What do you want from me? It's warm in here. 70 degrees today. Show will be right back. I want to switch over to the Brewers and talk a little bit about Brandon Sproat, react to what Pat Murphy had to say about him on Saturday.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Brandon, we know you want to push to 6, 7, 8 innings. What, when you just kind of go to the 30,000-foot view and assess, needs to happen to get there?
Just, strikes early and often. Right now, it sucks right now, to be honest with you. If it was my choice, I'd go 9 every single time. But that's not reality. But to get through, let's just start with getting through 5 right now. I feel like innings 3 and 4 is what it needs to look like. To be able to get to the 5th, into the 6th, and then into the 7th, so on. Innings 3 and 4 is what it needs to look like.
Brandon Sproat with Adam McCalvy Saturday night. He was not good. He may have looked worse than previous starts. Now, he didn't walk anybody. He get into some 2-strike counts, then really struggled. His final line was 4.1 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, a home run, 4 strikeouts. Okay, just not good enough. And you can hear it in his voice. Forget what he's saying. Just listen to his tone. Like that's a dude that maybe not defeated, but not exactly having a great time right now. And who can blame him? The Brewers can't lose except for when he's starting. And I feel like he thought he'd be making progress. The Brewers thought he'd be making progress, and he's not. We'll hear from Murph on that subject and a little bit more about Brandon Sproat, what they're going to do there. But first, the show tonight, presented by, as it is every Monday, Road America. Their calendar is underway. And if you go to their website, roadamerica.com, you can see week by week what's going on. Pick your event or pick your thing you want to get over there this summer for to enjoy at America's National Park of Speed this weekend, the 5th through the 7th. It's the June Sprints. It's the 71st running. The June Sprints, this event, part of the SCCA Majors Tour, and their longest running event, delivers a weekend packed with high-speed excitement, fierce competition, and incredible value. And as according to their website, backed by popular demand, the 2-race weekend format brings fans double the racing action and gives drivers across all eligible classes a chance to battle it out on America's legendary 4-mile circuit. From the thrill of the grid to the energy of the paddock, Every moment captures what makes grassroots racing unforgettable. So a busy weekend of racing, lots of events, lots of action. So if you're over there, you're going to get your money's worth. And that's just this weekend. If you go to roadamerica.com, you can see their upcoming schedule, including the Grand Prix presented by AMR and some of the vintage weekends. If the collector car, the old school historical racing is more your thing, they have that for you as well. roadamerica.com. Appreciate their sponsorship of the show. Brandon Sproat has not been good. And this conversation would sound very different right now if Woodruff was healthy and pitching well, and if Logan Henderson was healthy and pitching well, and Robert Gasser had shown promise, and Quinn Priester was healthy or getting close to healthy and looking better by the appearance in either Nashville or wherever he's rehabbing. Now he's back in Arizona. None of those things are happening. Not a one. Brandon Woodruff feels like he's a ways away and not really in a rush to come back. I don't blame him. Quinn Priester feels like he might not pitch this year. Robert Gasser feels like he ideally maybe should never pitch again. He looks bad. And Logan Henderson's got a hurt back. So that's where we stand. If Brandon Sproat if Drowan could shove tonight and look like a starter, that would be nice. But I don't know right now if the Brewers have the flexibility to send him down to AAA. And the only reason you send someone down to AAA is when you feel like they have an issue that can be worked at AAA. Let me word that differently. You keep a player up when the only issues or the only hill they have to get over is an issue that can be solved at the major league level. When a player has challenges they need to conquer that are only presented at the major league level. I cut a little bit of Jack Stern on Microbrew with J.R. Radcliffe, the Journal Sentinel's podcast. Here he talks about kind of the progression or lack thereof from Brandon Sproat and their thought process of continuing to run him out there every 5 appearances.
Early on, when he had a lot of these outings where it was really, really good for probably 80% of it, and he had maybe one rough inning, and he just couldn't find a way to work through that. That's one of those things where I think you just need to say, hey, it's really, really close. He's not going to learn to work through the big inning in Nashville because he's facing inferior hitters who might not give him the big inning. He needs to work through that here. He needs to keep getting opportunities. And that's kind of what I was saying for the first few times through. These last couple times, though, it was interesting to me that Murphy picked his last start as the one to kind of dig in on him a little more over, because I think his outing against the Dodgers was much more maddening because he had really good stuff that day and just could not find the strike zone for most of it. But when you're starting to get into stuff like that, like he's just spraying the ball all over the place in some of these outings now. Even in this last start, he didn't walk any guys, but he was getting into like 2 strike counts and hitting guys, and he's kind of spraying the sinker all over the place, which is supposed to be his most valuable pitch. That's where we're starting to get to the point of, okay, maybe there is something that he needs to work on in Nashville and just kind of slow things down and get back to the basics.
So again, that's Jack Stern, Brewer Fanatic. I don't know. I don't know if there is something he needs to work on at the minor leagues. Just listening to Jack, and he would know a lot more than just about anybody on yes or no. He makes it sound like he could benefit from some time in AAA. I don't know that the Brewers are in a position to give him that time at AAA because Priester is very far away and Woodruff is far away. And Gasser does not look good. And Logan Henderson is hurt. And I don't know about Coleman Crow. He didn't look great the last time out. I think they probably threw too many fastballs. That's not his strength. But welcome to, catching with William Contreras 101. Day one syllabus stuff. Fastball, which is good for some pitchers, not good for others. I thought Pat Murphy drew a harder and a faster line in the sand about Brandon Sproat than maybe previously. I've been monitoring his post-game comments every time he throws because, well, I just think the Brewers have had a different measurement for him than we have. And I brought this up. Like, I think 4 solid innings for the Brewers is like, that's a thumbs up. We're on track. We're continuing. So Brewers fans might watch him and think that it sucks, but internally the Brewers might be measuring him, with different standards. So I'm always interested to hear what Pat Murphy says about him after a performance. This is what he said Saturday.
Well, I mean, we're not going to tolerate too many duds like this. That's for sure. I mean, if he's not going to step up and, we're trying to win. I mean, this isn't, we're not rebuilding. We might be using some young pitchers. He doesn't have quite the experience that some of the other guys have. And, he's done some really, really good stuff, like I said. So it's not like he's not going to get another chance. It's just took a step back. I thought he took a step backwards today.
I thought he did too, and I liked what he said in the middle there. We're not going to tolerate too many duds. We're not rebuilding. By the way, the Brewers lineup is out tonight, the bottom of the order. Sal Frelick hitting 214, Luis Renifo hitting 201, David Hamilton hitting 225. It's fine. Keep moving. Those two things aren't connected. 608-321-1670. Kay Schmidt in Oregon, I'm going to go back to this from the last segment, texted and said, with the Brewers winning like this, bringing anybody up for any reason other than that they are absolutely ready and forcing their way onto the big league roster would be doing them a disservice. Luis Lara is the guy that seems to be doing that, but Jet and Pratt aren't right now. Kay Schmidt in Oregon. I feel fairly certain that Jet Williams could come up and give you more at third base than Luis Renifo is giving you. Joey Ortiz is a little bit of a different conversation. I think he's a little bit more difficult to replace. Not impossible, but a little bit more difficult. I think the Brewers probably are mulling options there and trying to figure out a timeline. And they're weighing a whole lot of factors. They're weighing, Renifo. If Renifo was just a guy in their system they could send down and option him, they may have done that already, but they can't do that with him. If they DFA him, he's gone, which you might say, no problem. And I mostly would agree with you, but what if Jet Williams comes up and hurts his hamstring and has to go on the 60-day or whatever? Well, now you're right back to where you started, except Renifo's not here. Well, Renifo sucks. Yeah, but he can do it. Like, they don't have a lot of guys. They have a lot of outfielders who stink, but they have a lot of outfielders. Like, they do have Blake Perkins, and Brandon Lockridge will be back this month. They don't have a Blake Perkins and a Brandon Lockridge to play third base. They have Luis Renifo, who sucks worse than both of them, but if he's gone, they don't really have anyone else. They have David Hamilton and Joey Ortiz, and that's basically it. So there's a matter of depth over there. There's a matter of whether or not Pratt and or Williams are ready. It's a real thing, and the way the Brewers view that. And then, they did just have the best month in Major League Baseball. The Brewers probably don't feel like they need to do anything right now. Well, clearly, because they haven't. Renifo's in the lineup tonight. So clearly they don't feel like they have to do anything. Those are all the factors they're weighing. I think they're getting close to the point where they probably would like to do something with Brandon Sproat. I don't think they can. Because if you take Brandon Sproat out of the rotation, okay, you make Chad Patrick a starter again? Well, if Drowan's starting games and Chad Patrick's starting games, you just basically cut your bullpen in half. Now, Rob Zastryzny is back, or like you could bring up the guy who they just sent back down and Murphy refuses to use. I can't remember his name. Fernandez. I can't remember. Not Easton McGee. He's the ceremonial bring him up, not use him, send him back down guy. You just only have so many players for these spots. So they might be to the point now where they want to send Brandon Sproat down, but I don't know that they can. Got to figure it out, buddy. I guess he'll go again against the Rockies this weekend. So I don't know. But the Rockies at Coors, playing any team at Coors as a pitcher is no small task. We'll take a break. The Monday mailbag next. I should have promoted this. This is on me. But there are some questions in there. That mailbag is looking rather plump. So I'll get to your questions next on anything. Submit yours. grantbills21@gmail.com. We'll pop open the Monday mailbag and conclude the show next with any other final thoughts.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Because the mail never stops.
Charles, we'll be writing to you. She's got mail. That's the name of the book.
That's it, honey. There's never a let up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more. And you got to get it up. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in.
The Monday Mailbag. Thank you for the questions. Submitted to the official show email inbox, grandpills21@gmail.com. Not giving you my work email. I already ignore most of the emails that come into there. Hopefully no one from our sales team is listening. Who am I kidding? They don't listen. Christopher, Grant Bills 21 says, Grant, the Packers have the winter tailgate tour. Bill has the big unit cruiser. Would you consider a Wisco Sports Show whistle stop tour? Where would you stop and who would you bring along for the ride? Ideally, nobody. That would be the joy of it. Just off the dome, somewhere in or around La Crosse, somewhere over by the river. Could be north towards Trempealeau. I'd stay it in on the river. Could be south towards Baroque, which is somewhere in that pocket. Lots of good options. Somewhere up around the Chippewa Valley. That's home. So somewhere, I don't know where, somewhere in that pocket. Lots of good options. I'd have to jet up 53 for a stop somewhere north of Rice Lake, but south of Superior. Somewhere in that pocket. I do have a growing soft spot in my heart for Marathon County. And also, Washara County is growing on me. So somewhere in that central, the mid-central, north-central, northern central Wisconsin, somewhere in there. And you know what? I'm a sucker for Lake Country too. Just somewhere out in those burbs. I do like Lake Okauchee. I do like Bill's neck of the woods. Somewhere, I couldn't tell you exact places. A place in each of there. Lots of good options. No shortage of choices. Tyler in Massachusetts says, last Sunday night in Boston, David Lee Roth played a show at MGM Music Hall in Fenway while Bruce Springsteen played a sold-out show at TD Garden. What's the worst concert experience you've had? Neither one of those sound interesting to me, and I don't have anything against David Lee Roth or Bruce Springsteen. I don't think I'd enjoy either of those shows. The worst concert experience I've had, I don't think that I've had an overwhelmingly bad one. The one that I always mention as like a funny memory is when myself and some high school friends, bandmates, we were all in a little band together in high school. Went to, funny enough, Rice Lake. We went to Aquafest, and it was a split bill between Smash Mouth, rest in peace to the singer, and Blind Melon. I knew one. Did I know a second Blind Melon? I think I only knew the one. Smash Mouth was pretty good. At one point, the lead singer disappeared into his trailer in the middle of a song for like a good amount of time. And you say, Grant, well, how do you know he went into the trailer? It's Aquafest. I could see the trailer. Everyone saw him run in there. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe he was taking a dump. It wasn't a bad show. It's just, I don't know, man. It's Smash Mouth and Blind Melon and Rice Lake at Aquafest. What do you want? What do you want? Tom says, we'll be attending the Brewer game tomorrow, and I have questions. Do you know who the starting pitcher is slated to be? Do you have any construction avoidance for the ballpark? I have preferred parking. Pray, and don't be in a hurry, Tom. That would be my advice. Go to the Jay Leinenkugel's Barrel Yard. I went there. It was fun the other weekend. And I believe tomorrow night it is Kyle Harrison. So God's light shines on you. I saw Robert Gasser last Saturday. Have fun. TK on Wisconsin's West Coast says, you can be a first ballot Hall of Famer who wins every individual award imaginable, but your team never makes the playoffs and you never win a championship. Or you can be a serviceable role player who starts on a dynasty team winning 5 championship rings, but you were largely forgotten by history. and never achieve individual greatness. Which path do you choose? How do you justify my legacy? Here's the thing. If I can be the first thing, but no one blames me for it, then I would do the first thing. Like if I could be Joe Thomas and everybody, like people with Mike Trout are like, Mike Trout's kind of a loser. Why has he never made the playoffs? But with Joe Thomas, no one blamed Joe Thomas. Everyone blamed the Browns. So if I can be unbelievable elite Hall of Fame guy and everyone's like, he had bad luck, his team let him down, then I would take that thing. I also have no problem being the second thing, because if I was the second thing, then I could work in local radio and I wouldn't even have to be good. I could just be on the air because that's the threshold for doing local sports talk radio. So that would allow me to do the second thing and probably make more money because I played football once upon a time. Carter says, hey, Grant, what's your favorite NHL team? Split. I like the Bruins and the Wild. The Wild were better this year. They were a more fun watch. Goose Eggs. Lee in the Western City, last question. Says, I was watching the Spurs versus Oklahoma City with the Russian. That's your girlfriend. And her family, I assume. Do you ever notice the amount of space between Julian Champagne's eyes and hairs? Anyways, I think the Spurs are going to wipe the floor with the Knicks in 5 games. What's your prediction? Well, maybe, Lee, we can talk about this a little bit tomorrow. I don't think either team's wiping the floor with either team. I don't have a strong lean. I don't give picks on this show. I think the Knicks having all this time off is a huge benefit. Then again, the Spurs are young. So the Spurs don't need the time off. So maybe that balances out. This, to me, has a sneaky similar feeling to the 2022 finals with the Warriors and the Celtics, where the Warriors were kind of the old team, less athletic, less deep probably. And the Celtics were the young up-and-coming team. And I think in that series, you saw evidence that the Warriors were built for the moment a little bit more, and the Celtics were maybe a little young and dumb. And that was the difference in that series, the way I remember it. Maybe I'm misremembering it, but early thoughts on the NBA Finals remind me of 2022, when I think pound for pound, the Celtics were better. The Celtics also didn't have this version of Victor Wembanyama. And I know that Celtics fans are like, Tatum and Brown, there's no better duo. Oh, okay. All right, fine, maybe. But that duo seems to lose a lot in the first and second round. So, yeah, they're both top 10 players in the league. Sure. That hasn't gotten you anywhere, but sure. Needless to say, that Celtics team in 2022 didn't have this version of whatever Victor Wembanyama is, which is just a game changer. I can tell you how many times in the closing minutes watching Oklahoma City try to come back where a guy would drive at the paint or think about taking a shot and go, nope, and pass it along because Wemby was right there. So I don't know how many blocks Wemby ended up with, but just to my eye, and I wasn't even watching closely, I saw 2, 3, 4 times in the last couple minutes alone where Wemby just dissuaged a player completely from taking a shot. He didn't even have to block it, which I feel like he should get statistical credit for that. Some nerd's probably tracking it. Thank you for participating in the Monday Mailbag. We will react to Brewers Giants tomorrow and continue to follow any Packers news. I believe Matt LaFleur speaks tomorrow. Second day of practice for OTAs, so media should be allowed in, I think, if everything proceeds as expected. So we'll have some Packers coverage tomorrow night. And maybe Mike Clemens will drop by. Who knows? Have a great night. Thanks for listening.